Today I'm going to be discussing the precious stones I touched on in the last video, episode 1. This teaching is more of a accompanying footnote for the first episode. Okay, so this is not episode 2, it's just an expansion upon episode 1. If you do feel moved to watch this, be sure to at least watch episode 1 first, otherwise this teaching might seem very confusing. Okay, I'm going to be using the KJV Bible as always. I would encourage you to have pen and paper to hand if possible, because I'm going to be asking you to remember bits of information as we go along. Okay, let's begin. Now, we spoke about in the last episode how God gifted Jesus 9 precious stones. Okay, I'll read the verse again. So it's Ezekiel 28:13. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. Remember how I said these stones were gifted by God, by the God of Israel, to Jesus in Eden. Okay, some of you may have realized that these stones, okay, are the same stones from Aaron's breastplate. Okay, so we're going to go and have a look at that now. So if we go to Exodus 28, verse 29. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place, for a memorial before the Lord continually. Okay, so this is speaking about the breastplate that the high priest wears, okay, Aaron, and goes into the holy place, and it's for a memorial before the Lord continually. So this is talking about the breastplate of judgment that Aaron wore, okay, upon his heart when he went before the Lord. Let's take a look at what this breastplate looks like. We'll start at 15. Same chapter. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work, after the work of the ephod. Thou shalt make it of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. 4 it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set it in settings of stones. Okay, here we go. Verse 17. Even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a ligure, and a agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row, a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. Okay, 12 stones, as we've just read, to represent 12 tribes, the tribes of Israel. Okay, I have a question for you. I have touched on it already, but these stones and those that are gifted to Jesus in Ezekiel 28 that we've just read, what's the difference? Pause the video if you need to so you can have a look. Okay, these stones, there's 12 of them. Jesus is only given 9 in Ezekiel 28. So there are missing stones. Now the missing stones are here: ligure, an agate, and an amethyst. If you go to Ezekiel 28, Jesus does not have these stones. Okay, these are missing. God did not give him these stones. Okay, so let's delve a little bit deeper to see what we can learn. Now, most people, okay, equate these stones. I'm going to go to the beginning. Okay, the first row. So most people equate the order of these stones with the order of Jacob's sons, the order that they're born in. Okay, for example, Reuben was firstborn, so his stone is the sardius. Okay, a topaz is the second stone, so that will go to Simeon. The third stone is the carbuncle, that will go to Levi, and so on. You get the point. Now, other theories have a slightly different order, but most are to do with birth order in some way, shape, or form. Okay, in verse 19, we can see that the 3 stones missing are on the 3rd row. So if we go with this popular eldest to youngest theory that we've just said, sardius being Reuben's stone, topaz being Simeon's, and Levi the carbuncle because he's the 3rd born, and so on. If we go with this theory, the stones that are missing from the ones that were gifted to Jesus would be the stones of the tribes of Dan, Gad, and Asher. Or, like I said, some variation according to what most believe, but this didn't make sense to me and doesn't make sense to me. Why would God withhold the stones of Dan, Gad, and Asher from Jesus? Okay, so let me show you what I feel God led me to, and you can make a decision for yourselves. So now you and I are searching for 3 missing tribes in no particular order that Jesus could never represent for one reason or another. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 9. Okay. Wherefore Levi, the tribe of Levi, hath no part nor inheritance with his brethren. The Lord is his inheritance, according as the Lord thy God promised him. Okay, so Levi is a holy people, it's a holy tribe. Now, putting to the side that Jesus isn't even from the tribe of Levi, okay, so I'm going to reiterate that, just putting that to the side, that Jesus isn't from the tribe of Levi. God knew that Jesus would someday turn away from him, just like Solomon did. And like I said in episode 1, yes, Jesus is anointed, but that doesn't mean he would be forever regarded as holy. If you want an example of that, think of King Saul. He was anointed king, but he wasn't forever holy, was he? Okay, look what he went on to do. He turned away from God. Okay, so just because Jesus is anointed doesn't mean that he's forever holy. He certainly isn't. Okay, now, given that he is anointed, why, if he was so holy forever, would he not be given all 12 stones of the high priest instead of an insufficient number? Remember, we're putting the fact that he's not from the tribe of Levi to the side because Christians do. So why would he not be given all 12 stones as the high priest would? Clearly, this anointed man must fall short of holy in some way. That's obvious. Okay, and not just that, let's go back to see which stones are missing again. Okay, we've come to Exodus chapter 28:19. We've come back to see which stones are missing. Ligure, agate, and amethyst from the 3rd row. Another question for you. Okay, you can pause this to answer. What's the problem with him not being given stones from the 3rd row? Why is this so significant, the 3rd row? Okay, the reason why this is so significant is, if you can imagine the breastplate, okay, with 3 stones in each row, and there's 4 rows. If you take out the 3rd row, or if you take out the 2nd, it's going to look incomplete. Okay, somebody who doesn't even read the Bible would see that. If someone's walking down the street with a breastplate on and you can see a 3rd row missing, it's going to look incomplete. If the 1st row was missing, it wouldn't look so bad. If the 4th row, the last row, was missing, it wouldn't look so bad. But the 3rd or 2nd, it's going to look incomplete. Okay, so no, Levi's stone is out of the question. There's no way Jesus could have possibly been given Levi's stone. Okay, so that's 1 stone down. We need to find 2 more now. 2 more stones, 2 more tribes. See if you can guess the last 2. Okay, so you see, once you accept that the first half of Ezekiel 28 is unquestionably speaking about Jesus, there's no doubt, then scripture slowly begins to open up. Okay, those of you who wish to remain blind in denial, that's between you and God. I'm not here for that. I'm here for those who seek the truth, no matter where it leads them, no matter how uncomfortable it is. Okay, let's go to Genesis 22. Okay, Genesis chapter 22, we'll start at verse 17. That in blessing I will bless thee, God talking to Abraham, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven. Now please write this down, or at least remember it, okay? And as the sand which is upon the seashore. So this is a beautiful promise that God is making to Abraham. And thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies, number 18. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. Okay, what a beautiful blessing that God has bestowed upon Abraham because he's obeyed the Lord's voice. Okay, so remember that, or ideally write it down. Now we're going to go to the New Testament, okay, and we're going to go to John chapter 8, verse 1. Jesus went unto the Mount of Olives. Okay, the Mount of Olives is in Jerusalem. Okay, is Jerusalem. So please remember that, or write it down. Jerusalem, that's where Jesus is. Okay, now he's speaking to the Jews. So what we're going to see now is Jesus speaking to the Jews in Jerusalem. Let's go to verse 33. They answered him, we be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. We are Abraham's seed. That's what the Jews say. Let's go to verse 37. We're moving through these quite swiftly. Pause if you need to. 37. So this red writing is Jesus speaking. I know that ye are Abraham's seed. Jesus agrees. Jesus confirms, I know that you are Abraham's seed. Here, we're Abraham's seed, and Jesus says, I know you are. Okay, that's not in doubt. So both the Jews and Jesus agree at this point. Yeah? Let's go to verse 44. Jesus speaking again. Ye, he's talking to the Jews in Jerusalem, ye are of your father the devil. Ye are of your father the devil. Why did Jesus call the Jews' father the devil? Simply because they wouldn't give their life to him, they wouldn't follow him, they said no. So Jesus responded by saying, your father is the devil, even though he knows they're Abraham's seed. He's confirmed that. Okay, we've just saw that. Okay, so let me put that into perspective for you. Let's say you're a parent. If you as a parent tell your child to wait for you to pick them up from school and not to go off with any strangers, and then this strange man who your child has never met, never even heard of before, walks up to your child and says, your parents sent me, they want you to come with me, what would you hope your child replied? You'd pray to God that they'd say no, wouldn't you? Okay, you see, the Jews simply said, I'm going to do exactly what my father told me to do and not go off with any strange men. That's all they did. That's all they were guilty of doing, is not going off with any strange men. And though Jesus knew full well they were Abraham's seed, knew full well, I know that ye are Abraham's seed, okay? And he knew full well that they served the God of Israel, of course. And just because they didn't follow him, just because your child didn't go off with that strange man, he tells your child that you, as a loving parent who wants to protect your child, are the devil. There'll be women watching this video who know exactly what it's like to be approached by a seemingly friendly man who, when they've rejected his advances, sees another side of that man. The side that unleashes vile insults. And that's what happens here. He turns just because they don't want to follow him. Okay? Now watch this. I'll show you something else as well. We're going to go to Hosea 1. Now, do you remember where Jesus was when he spoke to the Jews? I've just reiterated it many times because I wanted to drive the point home. He was in Jerusalem. Okay, so Jesus was in Jerusalem, okay, when he said that the Jews did not belong to him, but they in fact belonged to the devil. Okay, the Mount of Olives, Jerusalem, right? Okay, watch this. This is Hosea 1:10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. Where have we just read that? Okay, this is the promise to Abraham, which cannot be measured nor numbered. Okay, this is God talking. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, Ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, Ye are the sons of the living God. In the same location that Jesus called me the devil, says God, that's where you will be told that you are the sons of the living God. The same location. Well done, child, you passed the test. When that strange man told you to follow him, you didn't go. You never left my side, not for broken promises and certainly not for miracles. Now we know that another stone Jesus could never have been given, another stone that he could never represent, regardless of where he was or was not born, is Judah. Absolutely no way. The Jews rightly rejected him then, as they rightly reject him now. So that leaves us one more stone, one more outstanding tribe. Okay? Now, at first, I thought this tribe was Benjamin because they, along with Judah, are regarded as part of the southern kingdom, but it's not Benjamin. Let's go to Joshua chapter 19, verse 9. Out of the portion of the children of Judah was the inheritance of the children of Simeon, for the part of the children of Judah was too much for them. Therefore the children of Simeon had their inheritance within the inheritance of them. Simeon's inheritance was within that of Judah's. Okay, nice and simple. Yeah, so Simeon absorbed into Judah. They became as one. Now, this one's tricky because Simeon is regarded as one of the northern tribes and had inhabitants scattered all around, as it states in Genesis 49, if you go and have a look for yourselves. However, their true home, Simeon's true home, their inheritance was in Judah, along with the majority of the tribe. So given the belief system that has been kept by the Jews all these years, which we've just touched on, we can be sure that if Simeon's inheritance is within Judah and both tribes have mingled together, the majority of Simeon's tribe rejects Jesus no less than those of Judah do. The majority of Simeon has been mingled with Judah. I say the majority because, as I've just said, they were scattered around, which you can read in Genesis 49. So that's why they may be classed as a northern tribe, but their inheritance, as it says here, their inheritance, their home is in Judah. Okay, so they're going to have the same belief system because they're merged as one. Those that live there are going to have the same belief system, obviously. Okay, sorry, I'm reiterating things over and again, but sometimes I get silly comments where people just aren't reading or studying enough. Okay, so based on the majority having merged with Judah, there's no way the God of Israel could have allowed Jesus to represent the tribe of Simeon, as a high priest would do, obviously, because they too will have always rejected him. Okay, they would have always rejected him. Why? Because they're mingled with Judah and Judah rejects him. Yeah. Now someone might say, well, if Simeon and Judah have merged together as one, surely that's two stones that are missing instead of three. Well, no, Simeon's still a tribe, and like I said, it's still regarded by many as one of the 10 tribes of the north. And also, let's take a look at when Jesus received these stones. So we're going to go back to Ezekiel 28, verse 13. Okay? Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. Yeah? So Jesus received these stones in the Garden of Eden. This is long before the kingdom split. Okay? Or this tribe had gone this way and that tribe had gone that way. This is in the Garden of Eden. In the Garden of Eden, God knew full well that there'd be 12 future tribes of Israel. And God knew that a high priest must possess all 12 stones if he's to represent each tribe. And look what else God showed me about these three missing tribes. Strangely enough, out of 4 of Jacob's wives, Levi, Simeon, and Judah all shared the same mother, who was called Leah. Okay, so the 3 missing stones, Levi, Simeon, and Judah, all shared the same mother. There's clearly a strong bond between these 3 tribes and has been throughout Scripture. So yes, the stones Jesus received were a gift, but they were also a statement regarding the future to come. There's 3 stones missing. That is a statement by God. This is no mistake. Jesus, you're in the Garden of Eden, and the God of Israel is giving you this wonderful gift of 9 precious stones. You and God are very close at the moment, but he knows that one day you'll rebel against him. The nations will think Solomon is the first person to split the kingdoms, but it's you. Your future rebellion means that you cannot represent all 12 tribes. Therefore, the God of Israel has lined up a man that will one day be crowned the King of Israel. Many of your followers will not believe you have a future replacement, and others will struggle to believe just how long you've known about this replacement. But when your followers read Luke chapter 15 of your corrupted New Testament, some will begin to understand exactly what that prodigal son story is really all about. Until then, Jesus, enjoy your 9 stones, because that's all you'll be receiving from the God of Israel, the God of Jacob, the God of Abraham.